Liberal reporter attacks Clint Eastwood for his political views, sparking an online firestorm. A liberal reporter has just released a blistering article attacking Clint Eastwood. The article criticizes Eastwood for his outdated views on politics, calling him irrelevant in today's cultural climate. The headline reads, "Clint Eastwood, a dinosaur of the past." The reporter goes further, mocking his recent comments on the state of the country, claiming that the actor-director is living in a fantasy world and is completely out of touch with reality. The piece immediately goes viral. Social media lights up with people either blasting Clint for his views or defending him as a legend who's earned the right to speak his mind. Some people call the reporter brave for speaking out, while others question the attack, arguing that Clint is a respected figure who's been around far too long to be taken down by a random reporter. The firestorm only grows bigger as the day progresses. Clint, however, stays silent. The world waits, wondering how the Hollywood icon will respond. But instead of reacting, Clint just goes about his day, not addressing the controversy at all. Then, an unexpected tweet from a mystery account appears. Clint Eastwood is more than just an icon. He's a symbol. Don't poke the bear. The tweet is retweeted by several high-profile figures. The mystery account's name? Melania Trump official. As the reporter's article continues to spark heated debates across the internet, it becomes clear that this story is about to get much bigger than anyone expected. A showdown seems inevitable, but no one is quite sure who will throw the first punch. The controversy continues to build. Clint's silence is deafening. The media is obsessed, endlessly discussing his lack of a response to the reporter's attack. Some say it's because Clint doesn't care, while others suggest he's just playing the long game, waiting for the right moment to strike. But it's clear that the reporter's article has ignited a firestorm. In a surprise move, the reporter decides to go on the offensive, appearing on multiple talk shows to defend his piece. He argues that Clint's outdated views are dangerous, especially in a time when the country is so divided. Clint Eastwood is living in the past, he says. It's time for the old guard to step aside. But as the reporter continues to push his agenda, cracks in his own armor begin to show. A source leaks personal information about the reporter, information that the public doesn't expect. It turns out the reporter had once been part of a controversial, far-left group that had used extreme tactics to push their agenda. The public begins to question his credibility. How can someone with such a radical past be trusted to make objective criticisms of others? Meanwhile, Clint's fans aren't just sitting idly by. They begin to rally on social media, posting videos, quotes, and old interviews of Clint standing firm on his beliefs. His supporters say it's not about politics, but about respect for a man who built his career on grit and authenticity. The response is overwhelming. Clint is more than just a Hollywood star to them. He's a symbol of resilience. But the reporter isn't done. At a press event, he drops a bombshell. "I'm not backing down. Clint Eastwood doesn't represent America anymore. It's time we move forward." As he delivers the statement, an unexpected figure steps into the spotlight. One of Clint's closest friends, a well-known celebrity, publicly calls out the reporter, blasting him for his hypocrisy. The reporter stumbles, clearly thrown off guard by the unexpected response. And then, just when it seems like the battle is intensifying, a cryptic tweet drops from Melania Trump. "You've poked the wrong bear. Watch this space." Now, the reporter finds himself not only facing Clint's fans, but also a potential storm from an unlikely ally. He's made a powerful enemy, and the game has just changed. The situation spirals even further when Melania Trump's tweet catches fire. It seems she's ready to enter the fray, but no one knows how or why. Her brief message sends the media into a frenzy, with speculations running wild about what her involvement could mean. Is she defending Clint, or does she have her own agenda? Clint, ever the enigma, remains silent, but his supporters are not taking this lying down. Thousands of social media posts flood the internet, demanding that Clint make a statement, urging him to stand up for his honor. Yet, it's Melania's involvement that has everyone buzzing. Many see her as a powerful, understated figure, and her cryptic message has ignited new questions about her relationship with Clint. Why is she getting involved now? The reporter, clearly rattled by the attention, responds to the tweet in his usual aggressive manner. Melania Trump is just as outdated as Clint Eastwood, he says. She's a puppet, and we all know it. He goes on to accuse her of hiding behind her husband's name, casting doubt on her credibility and influence. He doesn't hold back, calling Melania a publicity stunt who's never had a mind of her own. But Melania doesn't just sit back. In a sudden move, she issues a statement to the press. It's short but powerful. I stand with anyone who fights for truth, regardless of their political party. The comment stuns the reporter, who has expected her to stay out of the fight. But Melania isn't finished. Her team starts leaking a series of images. Clint and Melania at a private dinner a few years ago, laughing and discussing the state of the nation. It's clear they share a mutual respect, and now that respect is on full display. Then the unthinkable happens. At a press event, the reporter challenges Melania directly, calling her nothing more than a celebrity wife living in Clint's shadow. His voice is dripping with condescension as he questions her intelligence and integrity. The audience holds its breath, waiting for Melania's response. She doesn't blink. Instead, she takes a breath, smiles, and says simply, "The truth is far more powerful than your words." The reporter is taken aback. The crowd falls silent as Melania walks off stage, leaving the reporter stammering. It's a moment of pure power, and it's clear that Melania is playing a different game. The reporter, now more rattled than ever, doesn't know what to do. He's pushed the wrong buttons, and the walls are closing in. With Melania's sharp response still echoing in the media, the pressure mounts on the reporter. He can feel the tide shifting, and the cracks in his carefully constructed narrative are becoming more obvious with each passing day. The public is starting to see him less as a fearless truth-teller and more as a man out of his depth, out of his league. But the reporter refuses to back down. He doubles down, ramping up his attacks on both Clint and Melania. He organizes a press conference, calling it a final statement on the whole matter. "I will not be intimidated," he declares, standing before the cameras with a look of defiance. Clint Eastwood and Melania Trump are both part of the same outdated system. It's time for the new generation to take control. The reporters in the room nod, some questioning him, others feeding into the drama. The intensity of the press conference escalates when he shifts gears. "I'm not afraid of their power," he says, "and I'm certainly not afraid of their threats." The implication is clear. He's not just fighting for his career, but against the old guard of American culture. His words sting, and the media frenzy continues to grow. However, just as the reporter is about to finish, an unexpected twist rocks the room. Someone in the back of the room calls out, "But do you know who you're messing with?" The reporter turns around, puzzled, as a man steps forward. It's someone he's never seen before, but the room instantly recognizes him, a key member of Clint's inner circle. The man, known for his media-savvy tactics, smirks and begins to speak. "You've underestimated Clint Eastwood, and you've underestimated Melania Trump." He pauses for dramatic effect. "Clint doesn't need to speak up to win this, and Melania, she's playing you like a chessboard." The room is silent. The reporter stares at the man, unsure of how to react. But before he can respond, a bombshell is dropped. A secret video of the reporter from a few years ago surfaces. The video shows him in a heated argument with a former colleague, using language so extreme that it could ruin his career. The video quickly goes viral, and the reporter is left scrambling to explain himself. Melania, still quiet but calculated, drops another bombshell of her own. Her team has obtained a series of emails revealing that the reporter had been in contact with a controversial political group. The emails show him scheming to undermine figures like Clint and Melania, attempting to provoke exactly the kind of response he's now trying to get. The reporter's face goes pale. His past is coming back to haunt him, and the public is now starting to turn. But the real twist comes when Melania's team, not Clint's, issues a bold statement. "The truth will always come out. You just made your own downfall inevitable." For the first time since this whole drama began, the reporter is silent, unable to respond. The walls are closing in on him faster than he can defend himself. The heat is unbearable now. The reporter's credibility is in freefall. The media is ripping him apart, and everywhere he goes, there's a relentless barrage of questions about the video, the emails, his past affiliations. He tries to hold on to his narrative, but it's slipping through his fingers like sand. To salvage whatever's left of his reputation, he takes a bold step. In an attempt to regain control, he calls an emergency press conference, declaring it a final opportunity to tell the truth. The crowd gathers, hoping for a bombshell, expecting the kind of dramatic statement that will turn the tide in his favor. But instead, the reporter does what no one expects. He launches into a tirade against Melania, claiming she's pulling the strings from behind the scenes. "She's using Clint as a puppet," he shouts. "She's trying to manipulate public opinion with her empty words and empty gestures." His voice shakes with emotion as he accuses her of hiding behind her husband's name to gain power. But the crowd isn't buying it. The room grows tense, and the reporter begins to realize that his outburst isn't having the intended effect. The journalists exchange uneasy glances. His words are just more fuel for the fire. Then, in a move that no one saw coming, Melania releases another cryptic tweet. But this time it's different. She doesn't just state her position. She teases an imminent revelation that will blow the whole story wide open. "Sometimes silence speaks louder than words," she writes. "But I'm ready to speak. Soon." The internet explodes, and now all eyes are on her. The reporter, frantic, desperately tries to regain control of the narrative. "I won't let her manipulate the story anymore," he says. "I'm calling for a face-to-face showdown with both Clint and Melania." As the reporter's demands get louder, Clint does something completely unexpected. He finally speaks out. But it's not the angry tirade everyone was expecting. Instead, Clint calmly responds, almost dismissively, "I don't have time for games. I've already won." The statement stuns the room. He doesn't engage in the drama. He dismisses it entirely. The reporter, who has spent weeks stirring the pot, is left standing in front of cameras, looking like a man who just lost his last hand. Just when it seems like the reporter has been left with no way out, Melania's final statement drops. It's a video, and it's not what anyone imagined. In the video, she calmly addresses the entire situation, her voice steady and unwavering. "You wanted a showdown," she begins, "but what you didn't count on was me." Melania drops the final bombshell. She has proof that the reporter had been planning this entire controversy for months, long before the article was published. The footage shows the reporter meeting with several political insiders, orchestrating the media frenzy for personal gain. The video, exposing him as a manipulator and opportunist, is devastating. As the video spreads across the internet, the reporter watches as his career collapses before his eyes. His name becomes synonymous with deceit, and the very thing he thought would elevate him has become his undoing. But just when it seems like the story is finally over, Melania's team releases one more thing: a picture of the reporter shaking hands with a known enemy of Clint and Melania. It's a final piece of evidence, and with it, his career is officially finished. As the reporter watches his world crumble, Clint and Melania stand strong, united in their victory. The showdown they never needed has come to an end, and it's clear who came out on top. The world waits for Melania's final move. The media is abuzz, and everyone knows something big is coming. The reporter's reputation is in tatters. His career, once thriving on controversy, is now a pile of rubble. Every attempt to salvage his story has failed. He's become the villain in his own narrative, and the public's sympathy has long since vanished. It seems like there's nowhere left for him to turn. Then Melania's grand reveal hits. The video goes live. It's not some dramatic speech or bombshell expose. No, Melania takes a different approach. In the video, she stands in a calm, serene setting. There's no anger in her voice, no bitterness, just pure, undeniable confidence. The truth, she begins, is often far more powerful than anything you can say. And sometimes the truth is all you need to silence your enemies. She pauses for a moment, letting her words sink in. "But you, my dear reporter, made a fatal mistake. You thought you could control the narrative. You thought you could tear down Clint Eastwood and me. You thought we were just targets. You underestimated the one thing you should have feared: our resolve." The camera pans out to reveal a single envelope on the desk in front of her. Inside this envelope is something that will make everything clear. You wanted a showdown? Here it is. Melania holds the envelope up to the camera and opens it slowly. The tension in the air is palpable. What's inside? Another bombshell? More proof of the reporter's betrayal? No, it's a letter dated months ago signed by the reporter himself, a letter to Melania and Clint in which he begged them to give him an exclusive interview, promising to cover their side of the story and paint them in a more favorable light. The reporter's words, dripping with desperation, make it clear that he had tried to manipulate them long before the article was published. I thought you were above this, Melania says, looking directly into the camera. I thought you were smarter than this, but you chose to manipulate people, to push false narratives and try to profit from it. You thought you could ruin us. Instead, you ruined yourself. The letter is displayed on the screen, and Melania doesn't need to say anything more. The image speaks volumes. The reporter watching the video unfold feels his stomach drop. Every lie he spun, every attempt to twist the narrative in his favor, has now been exposed. The letter paints him as the opportunist he truly is, someone willing to betray anyone for a story. In an attempt to salvage whatever's left of his dignity, the reporter posts a final statement online, but the damage is done. The comment section explodes with mocking messages. His former allies abandon him. Sponsors drop him. His career, built on the back of his own manipulation, disintegrates in real time. And then, in a twist no one saw coming, Clint Eastwood releases a single tweet. You can't destroy a legend, but you can destroy a liar. The tweet goes viral within minutes, cementing the victory for Clint and Melania. In the final moments of the story, the reporter's face appears on the screen one last time. Only this time, it's not in triumph. It's a man who's been completely humiliated, outplayed at every turn. As the camera fades to black, the final words of Melania echo. The truth always wins.